It wasn't long before Kondo-san and Okita were both sent to Osaka Castle to recover. Kondo-san's gunshot wound was healing slowly, and he needed rest and frequent treatment. Okita was sent away in hopes that a change might help him recover from his illness, which had been discovered to be severe tuberculosis. I caught a glimpse of him as he left, and his face was frighteningly pale. As I watched him leave, I felt my heart sink. It made for a bleak start to the new year. We were busy preparing for war. We couldn't do much to celebrate the coming of the new year. I was cleaning in the common room.
おや、雪村君。まだ起きていたんですか?
Oh, Sana-san. Did you have any business here? If you're going to use this room, I'll leave.
いいえ、構いませんよ。
I know what this is. We can skip this. Today's New Year's Eve, but the Fushimi magistrate was abuzz with panic and tension. War could erupt any day now. They seemed to put every warrior on edge as they eagerly awaited the order to march. Because of the tense uncertainty, I couldn't bring myself to sleep that night. And as Harada had told me, this was almost a self-invited sense of anxiety, because I didn't necessarily even have to be with the Shinsengumi. Compound that with the fact that the demons could come for me at any moment. My mind had no chance of resting. I got out of my bed and crept quietly to the common room to get some fresh air.
Yo, まだ起きてたのか?
Oh, Harada. Are you drinking right now?
ちょっと眠れなくてな。どうだ? 俺に付き合ってくれねえか? とっておきの酒だ。新八や平助には内緒だぞ。
Are they gonna get mad that you're drinking without them? Is that why? Sake, but how should I respond? We're pretending to drink. How about I pretend to drink with you? That way, we can still hang out. Is that okay?
ありがとうよ。それで十分だ。
Harada poured some sake into a small cup for me. That's plenty, I think. I placed the sake-filled cup on the floor, and I took the bottle from Harada. I refilled his empty cup in return for his generosity. Whoops. I poured too much and the sake reached the top.
おっと、そのくらいで大丈夫だ。
To prevent the sake spilling from the cup's sides, Harada sipped it quickly.
ありがとうよ。ああ、うまいな。
I stared at Harada, and I thought I'd ask him a question that I'd always wondered. Does sake taste good?
酒は確かにうまいが、うまいだけで飲んでるわけじゃないな。飲んでる時の空気が好きで飲んでるって感じもある。酔って溜まっている愚痴を言い合ったり、普段は聞けねえような本音が聞けたりするからな。誰かと打ち解け合うには酒を酌み交わすのが一番だな。
I see.
ああ、新八や平助ともこうやって何度も酒飲んで仲良くなったようなもんだしな。
Harada casually sipped on his sake, smiling warmly, but then his tone became serious as he asked me a question.
で、眠れないのは何かあったのか?
It seemed like Harada reached out to me earlier because he wanted to ask this. but I thought twice before telling him my answer.
こう見えても俺、口は家庭法だからよ。お前の悩みを誰かに言いふらしたりはしねえぜ。それとも、俺なんかに相談してもろくな答えが返ってこねえって思ってんのか？
Oh, it's not like that at all. It's just,
じゃあ話してみろよ。誰かに打ち明ければ楽になることだってあるだろう。
Harada's voice was so kind. Even just a little, it made me feel like he'd lifted the burden in my heart. Is it okay for me to be here still? I left my mouth agape after I spoke.
ここにいてもいいかってのは？
Well, since the fighting will break out soon, I was wondering if it was right for me to stay here. The demons could try to kidnap me too. During the battle, wouldn't I just be in the way here? Harada curled his lips into a worse smirk and he nodded.
迷惑じゃないって答えられりゃかっこいいんだがな。薩長の奴らと戦いながら鬼と戦うのは正直言うと手に余るかもしれねえ。
Harada was always honest with me. He knew how conflicted I had felt. So he never seemed to feel the need to lie to me for my own sake.
男にとって一度守るって決めたもんを途中で放り出すことほど情けねえことはねえからな。確かにお前がここにいなけりゃあいつらも来ないかもしれねえ。ただもともとお前を無理やり軟禁してたのは俺たちの方だろう。そんな相手を守りきれなくなったから追い出すなんてみっともなくてしょうがねえ。その程度の意地も張れねえほど追い詰められてるなんて思いたくねえんだよ。俺も土方さんも他の連中もな。
I hung my head low from his words. So, is the Shinsengumi really asking you that much of you out there? My question had seemed to make him wince, and it was one I thought about for a while. Then Harada looked up at the ceiling.
どうかな。
I could sense him wavering. I'm sure he was just trying to have faith in both Hichikata-san and Kondo-san, both of whom he trusts to lead for so long. But now Heisuke has joined the Fury Corps. So many things were testing his faith, causing him to doubt the institution and people that had given him strength for so long.
まあ、何にせよ鬼どもからお前を守ってやるってのは変わらねえからな。どんな事情があろうと嫌がる女を無理やり連れ去ろうとするってのは褒められることじゃねえし、それはそのことに関してだけは胸を張れると思ってるぜ。
The doubt resting in Harada's eyes only moments before seemed to leave him. Instead, there was a bright fervor. Looking at his determined expression gave me an unexpected sense of relief. Before I knew it, all of the anxiety keeping me awake had melted away, and I could sleep soundly in bed that night. January 3rd, 1868.
みんな明けましておめでとう。まさかこんなところで年越しするとは思わなかったね。
だな、こんな場所じゃ餅も食えねえよ。薩長のやつらも少しは考えやがらってんだ。
せめて七草がゆを食べるくらいまでは 何も起きないでくれればいいんだが。
ああ、まったくだな。
Harada and Inoue were still talking and warming themselves near the hibachi when Yamazaki ran in.
井上さん、原田さん、大変です。
Oh boy.
山崎か、どうした？
薩長軍と幕軍の間で銃の撃ち合いが始まりました。
なんだって、それは本当かね？
とうとう始まりやがったか。
あちこちで戦いが始まっています。おそらく薩長との全面戦争です。雪村君、斉藤さんの姿が見当たらないようだが、どちらに？
He's outside on watch. That was me actually getting freaked out. A sudden roaring explosion took the magistrate's office, followed by another and another. The constant bombardment left my ears ringing.
こっちへ来い。
Harada grabbed my arms and drew me closer to him in order to shield me. Thank you, Harada. I could feel Harada's breath softly tickle me, and it made my heart race. I know he may not have meant to do so, but still. At that moment, Saito-san returned.
斉藤さん、薩摩藩士たちの様子はどうだったのですか？
この奉行所の真横にある龍雲寺にいくつも大砲が仕掛けられているのが見えた。奴ら本気で我々と戦うつもりらしいな。
As Saito-san spoke, I could feel the air in the room tighten. It was suddenly full of faces much more grim than I had seen in a long time.
皆、出撃の準備をしろ。撃って出るぞ。待ってました。支度はできてるぜ。薩摩の奴ら、待ってろよ。目に物を見せてやるからな。
I looked over at Harada, who was already pulling on his own uniform and headguard. The Satsuma were armed with guns, right? Are you really gonna be okay if they're using those kind of weapons?
鉄砲っつうのは少し離れちまえば当たらねえ。急所に当たらねえ限り撃たれてすぐに死ぬこともねえしな。
Oh my god. Really? His cocksureness gave me some relief, but what was this bad feeling I couldn't shake?
なんて顔してんだよ。まるで死での旅の見送りみてえじゃねえか。
But
大丈夫だって。俺たちが強いってことはお前もよくわかってるだろう。余計な心配せずにここで待ってろ。絶対に建物の外に出るんじゃねえぞ。
よし、それじゃ行くぞ。支度ができたものからついてこい。
with the shuffling and clanking of armor moving, the men followed Hijikata-san out of the building, leaving only a few men to guard the magistrate. Every time I heard the sound of cannon fire, my heart leapt into my throat, and I cringed at every scream, wondering frantically if it had come from anyone I knew. As the minutes stretched into hours, I prayed desperately for my mind, as my mind invented horrible deaths for all my friends. Then at last, as twilight began to fall on Kyo, they returned. You're back!
よ、ただいま。
They were dirty and despondent now, a stark contrast to the excitement and vigor on display when they'd marched out. Everywhere I looked, I saw uniforms smudged with dirt, dust, and blood. What happened? Did anyone get hurt?
いや、怪我はしてねえから心配はいらねえよ。ただ、新八の隊は先発隊だったからな。何人も死人が出ちまって。
Oh no! Nagakura had seen his men die. Men who had drunk with him, sparred with him, and patrolled the streets of Kyo with him. What could I possibly say to him?
気にすんな。あいつらも覚悟はしてたさ。しかし、なんだよ薩摩の奴らが使ってたあの化け物銃は。間合いに飛び込む隙なんて見つけらしねえじゃねえか。冗談じゃねえぞ。今回はたまたま運よく生き残れたが、あんなのどうすりゃいいんだ。
長倉さん。
They were all doing their best to be cheerful, but it was painfully obvious that it was just an act. It was obvious from the start that this war was far different than the likes of Ikeda or the Hamaguri Rebellion. To think that the once invincible Shinsengumi could be so easily defeated. Outside, the bombardment continued unabated.